Pyrrha Nikos, the invincible girl. Weiss Schnee, granddaughter of a hero and heir to the Schnee Dust Company. Well, when you have so much pressure on something, it can either form it into a diamond or force it to shatter like a mirror. And who better represents that today than our two combatants? So, we'll be seeing where they differ, and we'll be comparing them to see who is the best fighter. Along with that, this will be the second part in a playlist featuring all of Team Juniper versus all of Team RWBY from their Volume 1 to 3 variants. So if you would like to check out the rest of the playlist, you'll obviously see it. And let's get started. Shall we? Let's start off with Weiss and her abilities. So Weiss has one of the most diverse arsenals on the planet. It is called glyphs. Now, glyphs is a semblance that can be passed down through a bloodline, and this results in every Schnee having relatively similar semblances. This not only allows them to train each other and help practice, but also gives them a rough estimate of what they can and cannot do. This is how Weiss discovered summoning. That was through Winter. Now, I would say, however, that summoning is by far the weakest area when it comes to Weiss's semblance, considering she has such an amazing arsenal. She has time dilation, she can create platforms midair and in anywhere. She can use platforms to grab people, launch them. She combines them with dust for high range attacks, and she primarily uses everything possible when it comes down to fighting opponents especially in the earlier volumes. After her time skip, there was a significant lack of general finesse with her glyphs, and she relied primarily on the raw power of summoning. Now, summoning is extremely powerful. For example, she was able to one-shot a paladin in Volume 3. However, that would most likely not hit its mark in this matchup. So while it would make a good distraction, it is not entirely indicative of how this fight would go down. Alright, so general scaling. Weiss is, as I stated before, she one-shot a paladin. This is overall consistent because she scales primarily to Yang, RWBY, and Blake. They all seem relative, with obvious differences in between, but she did lose to Banesaw on the train. However, she did make it through the entire thing, and she did not die, which is kind of important. And while she has all this finesse and abilities at her disposal, once again, her lack of stamina is going to really play a part in this. As seen in her fight with Banesaw, she did not have the ability to keep him at bay for a long period of time. So her positives are incredible speed and versatility. However, she burns like a candle quite fast. Alright, next we're going to move on to Pyrrha Nikos. Pyrrha has a different and not as versatile semblance. It is called polarity. In other words, it is magnetism. She can control metal with her thoughts. Not necessarily a bad semblance, but not as diverse. However, it gives her a distinct advantage in, say, a super futuristic world where everyone kind of uses a metal weapon, and most buildings have metal in them, and most areas are filled with tons and tons of metal, and even some people have metal parts. So it gives her an advantage in almost every environment she's in. Now, let's get into raw scaling. So for scaling, Volume 1, she was stated to be the strongest student by Weiss in this debate, ironically enough. She was able to defeat Cardin's entire team by herself, and in Volume 3, Ozpin said that rather than having a great team help her get to the finals, it was more implied that she was the one really carrying her team on her back. So, yeah, she's pretty comfortably considered to be the strongest student and just generally the best at what she does. Next is pretty impressive, but she fought Cinder. And that pretty much ends this debate entirely. So, little known fact, Cinder it was not stated whether Cinder's power changed whatsoever through the events of Volume 3 after her silver eyes, after she was attacked by the silver eyes. It is not stated whether if she got any stronger or any weaker. So we generally have to assume that they are the same just to general principle. Now, this is kind of concerning because that either means that they're the same power or she got weaker, just because logically it makes no sense for a person to lose their arm and an eye and leg and all that just to, But anyway, that's beside the point. She did push Cinder to try against her, and she significantly damaged Cinder in their fight. That automatically puts her above anything Weiss can do, even currently. Because I don't know if you guys all remember Volume 8. We all collectively kind of got mad at the ending and tried not to think about it, so I can see why. But yeah, it was a 4v2. And then John arrived, and then Penny arrived, and then Winter arrived, and Cinder ran the gauntlet. She didn't beat anyone except Penny and John, but she still soundly disposed of all of the other characters and successfully threw them off the battlefield. And if it was a one-on-one situation, she would have killed any of them. And keep in mind, there is such a massive gap between this Weiss and pre-time skip Weiss. Because keep in mind, this Weiss has not only received training from Winter, she has also received training from the Aesops. She has been on multiple adventures and multiple battles, and each time these characters fight, they significantly grow in strength typically. So this Weiss is far greater than anything Weiss can do while at Beacon. So the likelihood of her scaling anywhere close to her now post-time skip self is completely redundant. But the funny thing is, Pyrrha lasted longer in a one-on-one fight against Cinder than current Weiss did. So Pyrrha, by default, has a better feat in Beacon than Weiss has ever had. So you see why this isn't close anymore? That's the one thing. Weiss does have a significant advantage when it comes to variety of stuff. But when it comes to raw power, being able to go toe-to-toe with one of the strongest characters in the verse is naturally going to put you above what anyone else can do. So, I hate to say this, but unironically, Pyrrha is still within the top 10 strongest characters in RWBY. And that's a crazy statement to make. But that's just how it is. She's that strong. And that's why, as much as we all like Weiss, this fight is not close. However, there are some RWBY tie-in media that I have not read. So, I am not a full master about this, and if anyone would like to bring any different scans or scaling to mind, that would be greatly appreciated, and I would love to hear about it. Now, I also want to give you a big thumbs up and a big thank you to everyone here. I just recently hit 200 subscribers, so I'll be producing a new video in celebration of that. You guys will see that eventually. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Goodbye.